Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the astrology for the week of November 10th, 2024. Two of my astro besties and I, Tiffany Harelik and Sarah L. Harar, are having our third annual predictions webinar tomorrow, November 11th at noon Pacific time, where we'll highlight what is coming up in 2025, give suggestions for how to use this energy, as well as some predictions. So you can go to the link in the show notes. You may have to join 24 hours in advance. So if you have any trouble, email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com and we'll manually register you for the workshop. Next, let's take a look back at some of the astrology and how it played out. We talked about last week how there was this big Mars in Cancer opposite Pluto in Capricorn aspect at the 29th degree of crisis and decay of each of the signs, and how emotionally driven reactions could lead to really intense confrontations and angry outbursts. And also with this, Mercury was in a smooth, easy-flowing trine with Mars, and Mercury was in Scorpio. And this was a great example of how that trine energy can remove all restrictions between the two energies, and Mercury takes on the nature of what it's talking to. So when Mercury's talking to Venus, there can be more pleasantries, collaboration. But when Mercury's talking to Mars, the mental processes and communication can easily turn to conflict. And Jason Kelce, who's a football player, he is Travis Kelce's brother, and Travis is dating Taylor Swift. So Jason was walking on a college campus going to some kind of football game, and some punky guys just kept heckling him, saying nasty things about his brother and his brother dating Taylor Swift. Deliberately, this is Mercury in Scorpio, saying kind of cruel things to him, like trying to subconsciously trigger him. Scorpio is ruled by Mars, and so the energy can be somewhat piercing and trying to get to, under your skin energy. And so that's what they were trying to do. And this is Scorpio on the shadow side, I should make clear. Scorpio has beautiful energies as well. And Mars in Cancer, they were saying nasty things about his brother. Cancer rules the family. And he lost it and turned around and smacked the phone that they were recording him with. Mercury also ruled communication devices to the ground and said some things to them as well. Now, most people think he was totally in the right, but now this happened the day of or the day after the Scorpio new moon. So now he started this new situation where there is a problem where he may have legal consequences and whatnot over this event because it was essentially an assault. The next thing that happened also happened at a college football game. And I said college campuses were something to look at because Mars was in the 9th house, and the 9th house rules colleges and Mars rules athletics. So we saw different events at athletic games. So this was in Jacksonville, Florida. They were playing Georgia, and there were two different separate altercations that got physical related to fans and the security guards. So there was one fan who my understanding was, don't quote me, that something was about his digital ticket was being questioned and he was being told to leave, and he got so mouthy, racial slurs, threatening to kill the cops that came in, and actually they might have been police officers, not just security guards. And it was like fists were flying and all sorts of stuff. So he got a beat down and arrested. And then there was some other people at the same game who got into it with the security or the police and got into a physical altercation. So that's Mars opposite Pluto. People willing to go to excessive extremes quickly and get violent. Also, there was the nature of, with the Scorpio energy, sexuality. And Donald Trump, who is now president-elect of the United States, had a problem with a microphone at one of his rallies. And then he started talking about how stupid the people backstage were and how he was going to knock them around. And the crowd was just cheering about all this. And then he started simulating sex with his microphone. So that's, again, Mercury trine Mars with that opposite Pluto. It was really revolting to a lot of people. And Pluto can bring up taboo things that, you have this physical reaction. Last week was also the election in the U.S., and I was predicting a Kamala win. And I don't know if I talked about it here, but I saw landslide energy with that Mars opposite Pluto. And then Mars went into Leo. The energy seemed just very forward moving. And I said on Instagram and Threads maybe that we would know probably by the end of the day who won, if not the next day. I also tuned into my psychic intuition and I saw a big win, and whatever, my wires got crossed. It was not Kamala, it was Trump, and he won by a landslide. I was incorrect. It was also not the result I wanted. And I'll go back and retrace my steps in order to understand where I went wrong. It's a learning experience for me. The theme of this week is the 23rd Psalm, and there are three big things I want you to think about as you navigate this week. The first is that Venus enters Capricorn from November 11th to December 6th. Venus is the planet of love, beauty, harmony, relationships. It speaks to what we value. And in the sign of Capricorn, it's a little bit more somber and serious and committed. Capricorn rules governments, big business, the elderly. So you can think about with this energy, committed relationships. What are you willing to commit to in your relationships? We may also see news about older women with this energy, women in government. So notice what you're reading and seeing and hearing on November 11th, 12th, a female CEO. You can think about a power couple, or you may see, as you're flipping through a magazine, pictures of an elderly couple with an ad about their committed love or an article about something like that. This can also be about someone making the decision to marry for money or security, constancy in love. People with Venus and Capricorn tend to be really good at finding high quality products that have, excellent stitching, and the manufacturing is of a higher level. There's also May-December relationships where you see like someone who's young with someone who's much older in a partnership. So really notice what you see as Venus enters Capricorn, and for yourself thinking about, how do I spend my money? This can be a great time to conserve your resources, especially if you're American, because President-elect Trump has said he's going to be in tariffs on all these products. Well, tariffs are paid for by the companies in the U.S., and I was reading something about how a company told their employees that they are not getting their Christmas bonus because Trump won the election. The company had to pre-buy a year's worth of supplies in order to get ahead of the tariffs that could potentially be coming. You may be hearing more and more news. Maybe this will be the news. There are limitations in the resources available to people who work for companies based on some of the changes that are going to be coming in 2025. The Birthdate Company makes amazing products, and I am a proud affiliate. I especially love the Birth Date book. It's a fully personalized, beautiful, and unique reading of your birth chart with over 70 pages of detailed horoscope analysis. It is such high quality. I absolutely love it. They also make amazing birth date candles. You can get it for yourself or as a gift for someone else. So check out the store and use my coupon code Celeste10 for a 10% discount. Go to bit.ly/3PW3NFM. You can find that in the link in the show notes. Enjoy. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that Saturn is going to go direct in the sign of Pisces on the 15th, which is Friday. Saturn is the planet of structure. It controls, it limits, it delays 5 days, and before and after the energy is the strongest. Pisces is a water sign. It's emotional. It also rules things like drugs and medications, and you can think about water bodies of all kinds. Saturn creates a container for the water. It doesn't like to be in this sign, so it doesn't act as well as it does in signs it prefers. It prefers Capricorn and Aquarius. It's really important, and Pisces is mutable energy. It can just spread out really quickly. Now, it's good when a planet goes direct because things that have been stalled will get forward momentum. So if something was delayed and Saturn went retrograde around June 26th this year, and you put down a project, you may start to work on it again. So notice what was stopped, what starts again. You may get some new feelings of momentum, but with Pisces, there's something about mental health with Pisces, and it's really important for those who are really disappointed and despondent about what happened with the election to manage your fears, take care of your mental health, and potentially, turn off social media or turn down some things. I've seen some, there's a lot of gloating and hateful rhetoric that's going on. There were some of these bros on social media bragging about how they have control over women's bodies now and what they're going to do. Don't feed into that. You do have protections with the government, despite the fact that Donald Trump is going to be president. We need to do what we can to manage personal fears about what could be happening to ourselves and our loved ones. And it's better to get organized and get prepared rather than just let fears run wild, is my suggestion. We may be seeing things about water shortages and restrictions. Saturn words are lack or controls. There may be news about the plants that were damaged in North Carolina due to Hurricane Helene. There were plants that made supplies for surgeries and other medical procedures, like the fluids that people are hydrated with, Pisces, and a lack of them. I've already read about some surgeries having to be delayed. So there may be news about, now that Saturn's going direct, when these plants, these manufacturing plants, will be back online. Last year, there was an earthquake in Nepal when Saturn went direct. So natural disasters are possible. It's a malefic. It takes away from life. There can be stories in the news. Water stories. There have been so many horrible storms in Italy, in Spain. Spain was devastated in the Valencia region because of, massive water and problems with water. So that could also be something that we see going on with this energy. We can't prepare for everything, but we can make sure we listen to the weather, stay up on the weather reports, stock up on some supplies just in case there's some bad weather going on. Or if you live in a region that has earthquakes and things like that, review your plan. It's something that's good to do every once in a while. And Saturn is why it's called the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, from the Bible. And it really is about understanding sometimes things are out of our control and finding comfort with our higher power and knowing that we have the ability to overcome Saturnian challenges. So sometimes we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, but we fear no evil because we feel like there is something protected or comforting outside of ourselves. Some, the higher power is God. For some, it's the universe, goddess, whatever. Do you feel like there is a spiritual connection with something outside of yourself that helps you through times of crisis, whether the storms are internal, where our fears are spinning up, or external? There's an actual event where we feel we need protective energy. The last thing I want to make you aware of is that there will be a full moon on Friday at 24 degrees of Taurus. Now, this full moon reflects back to a 27-month cycle called the lunar phase families. The new moon of this cycle was on May 19th, 2023, where the sun and the moon were both in Taurus at 28 degrees. The first quarter moon, February 16th, 2024, sun in Aquarius, moon in Taurus, both at 27 degrees. There may have been a story that started at the new moon that had an inflection point at the first quarter moon. And now we are at the full moon, where the sun is in Scorpio, the moon is in Taurus, both at 24 degrees. And 9 months from now, the sun is in Leo, the moon is in Taurus, both at 23 degrees at the last quarter moon on August 15th, 2025. So you can think back to the new moon. Was there a story that began about Taurus topics? Taurus is an earth sign. It's fixed earth. This sign energetically is practical and grounded and stable. In terms of resources, is there a money story related to, like, maybe you bought something on layaway 18 months ago, or not layaway, but on a credit card or whatever, maybe layaway, and now you pay it off at the 18th month mark. You can think about, what are you investing your time and energy, and does it bring long-term results? Is something to think about at this full moon on Friday, where the sun is in Scorpio and the moon is in Taurus. Now, this is an intense full moon because the moon is pretty close to Algol, that fixed star that is known for, like, the Medusa mythology as well as the Lilith mythology. And Medusa is the beheading star. And it's conjunct Uranus, which rules elections. So again, I get this feeling of intensity that some people, especially young women, I'm feeling like, who are very concerned about the fact that their reproductive freedom, depending on where you live in the country, could be very limited. I really encourage people to not letting fears at this point get too out of control, because Moon conjunct Uranus could be stress. Saturn in Pisces is this mental worry or mental anguish. Saturn can feel like a heavy, wet blanket on the mental processes. So keep that in mind. And there is going to be a story for the United States because when you cast this chart set in Washington, D.C., the moon and Uranus are in the first house, and the first house is at the people of the nation. So something's coming over the full moon cycle where there is something unexpected, surprising, or exciting. That's the conjunction with Uranus. And it could be some kind of informational thing. Pluto is at the top of the chart. This planet rules power dynamics. It could also be about something secretive being revealed. Maybe this is about the Fed cutting interest rates. Now, I know an interest rate cut is expected, but it could be Uranian in that maybe it's a little higher than expected or something like that. Notice if you work for a company, if there are announcements around Friday around resources and spending, it's a good reminder to not be impulsive, like somebody may be thinking about, ooh, I want that expensive thing. Maybe think twice before you buy it. There's 4 angular planets in the event chart of the full moon set to Washington, D.C., and the angles are the seats of power. The angles are the ascendant, midheaven, IC, and descendant. The angular houses are the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th. The 1st is the people. The 4th is the land and rebels. The 7th is our partners, as well as open enemies, allies, and open enemies. And the 10th is the executive branch in mundane astrology. It could be something about actions taken by one of our allies or open enemies that was done in secret that's being communicated by the executive branch of the country. Uranus rules elections. It also rules abortion, lightning strike, earthquakes. It's about sudden shocks where something changes permanently. And there's this stress energy. On election day in the U.S., there were several bomb threats that thankfully were false, reported into polling places that came from Russian IP addresses. So notice if you hear something about a report issued about what happened at this time, or the president saying something about the repercussions for this potential attempts to meddle with our elections. People may be going to an exciting party this weekend. It feels like a rave. I'm getting the drumbeat of heavy drumbeat of a rave. I would recommend partying responsibly this weekend because with Saturn stationing to go direct, this is someone goes to a party, they have, or out to eat or to a friend's house, whatever, have a little bit too much to drink. And there's a cop, Saturn in Pisces, waiting at the corner to catch you speeding or driving erratically. So keep this in mind. There can be consequences for impulsive behavior and overindulgence with the energy. Also, I got with the Mars in Leo, we may see something like, and the moon conjunct Uranus in Taurus. Uranus rules also reckless and lawless behavior. So we could see something like one of these flash mobs robbing a luxury goods store. That would be like Louis Vuitton. I got something about with the chart. There's 9th house energy. So that can be news about religion, courts, or universities. The sun at 24 Scorpio, the tarot card is the 7 of Cups. That could be like, oh my God, I have so many choices and there's illusions. An X-ray photograph helps with the diagnosis is the Sabian symbol. So this could be, notice what you're finding a deeper understanding about. Are you seeing a root cause of a problem with this energy? The moon in Taurus, the tarot card, is the Seven of Pentacles, which is a card of perseverance, having a long-term view, thinking about how hard work can lead to a harvest. Also, beware of exhausting yourself. It's a great opportunity with Saturn stationing direct to think about what have you done since the summer or even earlier in this year, and what have you harvested from the efforts that you've put in. The Sabian symbol is a large, well-kept public park. So this can be about an image of serenity. Where do you go in order to find peace? It also has symbology about paying attention to the appearances. It's about how can we make space for everyone? Like somebody may be figuring out how can you add someone else to the table at Thanksgiving. Now, honestly, I think this is going to be a hard Thanksgiving for some people in the country, whereas there could be a lot of intense energy or fights about what's going on with the election, people canceling, I'm not coming, people arguing with each other. Mercury will be retrograde during Thanksgiving. So I want you to think ahead of time. How can you protect your peace? Is it worth engaging in conversations with people who just have such a different viewpoint of yourself that it's just going to cause you distress? How can you protect your peace is my recommendation that you consider.
If you are embarking on a new journey, experiencing a major life event, feeling stuck, trying to make a difficult decision, or just looking to make positive changes, astrology can provide life-changing insights. There are several ways to work with me. You can come for a 60 or 90-minute astrology consultation depending on your needs. Engage in longer-term cosmic success coaching where we work together on a 3-month basis to help you overcome blocks, improve your life satisfaction, build better relationships, accomplish your career goals, and understand yourself better using the tool of astrology. Or mystic mentoring if you're an aspiring astrologer and want help with chart analysis techniques. Go to astrologybyceleste.com to check out my offerings. If you have any questions, you can email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com.
On Sunday, the word of the day is Sirius. On this day, the moon will be conjunct Saturn at 12 Pisces during the day. The moon rules the mood of the people, so some people may be feeling a little serious or focused on responsibilities, and there's the potential for a little bit of overwhelm. So what can you do? Maybe listening to music is great with any time, but especially when the moon is in Pisces, it can be especially soothing. On Monday, the word of the day is veterans. This is Veterans Day in the United States, thanking people for their service who have protected the country in times of conflict. The sun in Scorpio is quincunx Jupiter in Gemini. They're both at 19 degrees. So Scorpio is intense emotional energy that's investigative, and Jupiter in Gemini. So this is like totally like an investigative reporter doing some deep research. Notice if you see like Bob Woodward on the news, he's such a Jupiter in Gemini, like Woodward and Bernstein. Jupiter, they are celebrity Gemini reporters. So notice if you see anything about that with this energy. Quincunxes move us into new situations where we have to release and let go of something. So something that could happen with this energy is you're doing some investigation about, let's say, where you want to go deep sea diving in the Cayman Islands. And with Jupiter and Gemini, you realize, we can't afford all of the excursions that we wanted to take. So we're going to have to limit some of them. Or there's some story about people putting their money in the Cayman Islands that is reported about in the news. And notice if there's anything duality around that. Yes, Venus enters Capricorn at 10:25 a.m. Pacific time. That could be about the government uncovering money being hidden kind of thing. Or you could be watching a TV show about that has like this topic coming to light. The moon will meet Neptune at 27 degrees. So the fog is clearing in some way, could be, or this could be, I know there's storms forming. So this could be about people dealing with water problems. And when the moon enters Aries at 10:25 p.m. Pacific time, this can be a time where people are taking action. So this could be like someone's watching the news and a storm is coming that's going to impact them. And they think, ooh, I got to get to the store to get some stuff to stock up. And that could be how you use this energy, because Aries is a cardinal initiating sign. It's fire energy where you move into action. On Tuesday, the word of the day is pensive. This is a day Mercury in Sagittarius will square Saturn in Pisces. They're both at 12 degrees. Mercury rules our mental processes. And in Sagittarius, it does not like to be in this sign because it's a sign of its detriment, where it can focus on the big picture but miss some of the details. And you went to the store and got a flashlight, but you forgot to get the batteries. You're kicking yourself. Saturn could be feelings of failure. Now, it's mental concentration as well. So you can use this energy to focus on a task at hand. Watch out for like saying cruel things to yourself or other people. Sagittarius can be foot in the mouth energy, like you say something that's not very nice. This could be getting a phone call with someone saying, I'm not coming to Thanksgiving because I don't want to talk to Uncle Dick and hear what he has to say. So I'm staying home. So this could be people getting calls about that sort of thing. The gibbous moon will start at 7:51 a.m. Pacific time at 5 degrees of Aries. And yeah, Aries energy can be about some kind of conflict. And the gibbous moon is pregnant with possibilities. So there can be this pushing out energy of conflict, but it's also fire sets boundaries. I'm not coming. Have a great dinner, but I need to protect my peace, maybe of the nature of what people are dealing with on this day. But pay attention to what is communicated with Mercury, what you're thinking, that Saturn puts limits, controls, ends things, sort of thing. On Wednesday, the word of the day is spirited. So on this day, the moon meets Chiron at 19 degrees of Aries. So watch out. Just be careful with fire, and sharp cutting tools is what I like to think about with that. And with Aries, if you're like working out or running or something like that, really warm up ahead of time, because Chiron's the wounded healer. You don't want to wound yourself while you're trying to make yourself healthier through exercise. The moon enters the Earth sign of Taurus at 10:58 p.m. Pacific time. This is a great time to soothe the physical senses of touch, taste, sight, sound. Maybe you decide, I want a little dish of ice cream. That could be what comes to mind when the moon goes into Taurus. On Thursday, the word of the day is quagmire. So I want you to think about, how could you balance work and play on this day? This could be about an awkward situation, because Venus in Capricorn is quincunx Mars in Leo at 3 degrees. This could be an awkward conversation about money. Venus rules money. In Capricorn, you're trying to conserve it. And Mars rules sex. And Leo, going out on a date or something. And we're like, we want to go out on a date, but should we go to this fancy restaurant because it's expensive? but it's high quality. Like there's this adjusting energy, or it could be you're out at the date, offer to pay half the bill, and depending on what he does, maybe does he get a kiss at the door or not. On Friday, the word of the day is ecstatic. So this is the energy of potentially like going to a rave or sometime a party. Be really careful about any kind of substances because Saturn goes direct at 12 degrees of Pisces at 6:20 a.m. Pacific time, but the energy will permeate for the next 5 days or so, 5 days before, 5 days after. You'll feel the Saturnian energy, and Saturn is consequences. And in Pisces, like not realizing how much something is impacting you, but there be some kind of consequences or weakening of your vitality. The full moon at 24 Taurus at 1:28 p.m. And again, Taurus is a sign of pleasure. This is the axis with Sun in Scorpio, Moon in Taurus, pleasure, power, and resources. So notice how subjects come up around these things. With the moon conjunct Uranus, this could be like serious, sexy type, like 9.5 weeks kind of sexual passion. Or the movie body heat, kind of sexual, intense sexual passion could be how this energy goes. The moon will enter Gemini at 11:08 p.m. Pacific time. And this could be, lovers laying in bed, just having a cute conversation and snuggling after the Taurus full moon about how much they like to play house together. On Saturday, the word of the day is crossroads. This can be about someone being at a crossroads in a relationship. Venus, which rules relationships, is in the sign of Capricorn, squaring the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra, both at 5 degrees. Is there a money decision? Do we want to take the relationship to the next level decision? Do we want to get physical? All of these kinds of things can be coming up in terms of some kind of choice points. When planets square the nodes, there's this choice point energy. And so with Aries and Libra, do I want to be single or do I want to be in a relationship? The Sun in Scorpio, and Scorpio rules debt, is opposite Uranus in Taurus at 25 degrees. This could be someone in a store. They're looking at this Louis Vuitton purse. They can't afford it outright, but they're at this crossroads. Venus rules resources like money. In Capricorn, it's something that's high quality, but it's also expensive, and it's a status symbol. Capricorn can be about keeping up with the Joneses. And so they're deciding, do I open up a credit card? Scorpio rules debt in order to have this thing I want. And Uranus, they're excited about it. Now, this could be for some people. Also, they're finding out their boss is telling that there need to be cutbacks in spending. Or like with the example I gave earlier, you're not getting a bonus because we have to stock up for upcoming changes in monetary policy or something like that. So just be really mindful what you hear, see, and experience around the topics of pleasure, power, and resources over this week. So that's it for this week's episode. Take care of yourself. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com with any astrology and accent stories, or let me know how the daily themes are playing out for you. Really, really take care of yourself. This is an intense week, and I'll catch you next week.
Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.